All right, let's dive into one of the coolest, most useful techniques in AI today. We're talking about Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or as everyone calls it, RAG. This is the tech that's making AI way more accurate and trustworthy. So stick around, because you're going to want to know how this works. So, you ever wish you could just ask an AI a question about your company's internal files, or maybe a super dense legal document? The thing is, standard AI models just can't do that. They have no idea what's in your stuff. So, how do we give them that superpower? Well, that's exactly what we're here to talk about. You see, the big issue here is what I call the AI knowledge problem. These large language models, or LLMs, they're brilliant, right? But they're basically stuck in a time capsule. They're trained on a giant snapshot of the internet, and that's it. So they know nothing about recent events, and they definitely don't know the first thing about your private data. And what's worse, when they don't know an answer, they often just make one up. We call that a hallucination, and it's a huge problem. So what's the fix? Do we have to retrain these massive billion-parameter models every time we have new info? No way. That's way too slow and expensive. The solution is actually much more clever. Instead of making the AI memorize everything, we just give it an open book. We hand it the exact documents it needs right when it needs them. And that open book method has a name: Retrieval-Augmented Generation. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like an open book exam. The AI doesn't have to have every single fact stored in its memory. Instead, when you ask a question, it gets to look at the relevant pages, your documents, and its only job is to find the answer right there in the text. This is how RAG connects the AI's general smarts with your specific private information. At a super high level, the process is just beautifully simple. You ask a question, the system searches your documents to find the relevant bits. It then gives that information, that context, to the AI, along with your question. And boom, the AI spits out a final answer based only on those facts. Keep that flow in your head. Query, search, context, answer. Okay, now for the fun part. Let's get under the hood a little and see how this thing actually works, step by step. I promise, it's not as complicated as it sounds. It's actually pretty elegant. It really all comes down to these 3 steps. First, you retrieve the right info. Second, you augment the AI's prompt with that info. And third, you let the AI generate the answer. Retrieve, augment, generate. Let's break each of those down. So the magic of that retrieve step all starts with something called an embedding. Basically, every chunk of text in your documents gets turned into a long list of numbers, a vector. Now, this isn't random. This list of numbers is a mathematical fingerprint of the text's meaning. Sentences that mean similar things will have very similar sets of numbers. And look, if you only remember one technical thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. An embedding is just meaning but turned into numbers. That's it. This is the fundamental trick that lets a computer understand context and not just keywords. It's a total game changer. Okay, so all these number fingerprints, these vectors, they get stored in a special kind of database called a vector store. When you ask a question, your question also gets turned into a vector. The database then does a super fast search to find the document vectors that are mathematically closest to your question's vector. It's not searching for words, it's searching for meaning. All right, on to step 2, augment. This part is really simple. The system takes the top few most relevant chunks of text it just found, and it literally just copy-pastes them into the prompt it's about to send to the AI. It's like giving the AI a little cheat sheet before it has to answer the test question. And check this out. This is the kind of instruction we give the AI along with that cheat sheet. We're super strict with it. We say, use only this information. Nothing else. And hey, if the answer isn't in here, just say you don't know. This one little instruction is the key to stopping the AI from making stuff up. And finally, we get to the generate stage. The large language model gets the whole package: your question, our strict instructions, and all that juicy relevant context. Then it just does what it does best. It reads, understands, and writes out a perfectly natural answer. But now, it's totally grounded in the facts you gave it. And a lot of the time, it'll even tell you exactly where it found the info. Phew, okay, enough theory. Let's walk through a super simple, real-world example to see how all these pieces click together. This is where the light bulb really goes on. So imagine a user asks a very specific question like this. A normal chatbot would probably just give up and say, sorry, I don't have real-time product specs. Right? But not us. We've already fed the product manual into our RAG system. So the system takes the question, turns it into a vector, and searches the database. Instantly, it finds a sentence inside the model_x_specs PDF that is the closest match in meaning. This is the exact piece of text it pulls out. That little snippet then gets passed to the AI, which synthesizes it into a perfect, factual answer. And look at that! It even tells you the source, the exact document and page number. That's not just an answer, that's an answer you can trust. You see, this isn't just some neat little party trick. RAG is a fundamental shift in how we can use AI. It makes it so much more reliable and useful for pretty much any serious task you can think of. Let's just quickly recap why this is such a massive deal. I mean, the difference here is just night and day. On the left, you get the typical, useless response from a standard AI. And on the right, you get a direct, accurate, and verifiable answer. This is the jump from a generic chatbot to a true expert assistant. So to wrap it all up, RAG really gives us 4 huge wins. First, it grounds the AI in facts, not fiction. That, in turn, drastically cuts down on those pesky hallucinations. It also unlocks all your up-to-date and private data for the AI to use. And finally, those citations give you a foundation of trust and let you check its work. What we've really done here is we've given AI the ability to read and reference specific documents on demand. It's not just a conversationalist anymore, it's a researcher, and you get to provide the library. So that really leaves just one question. Now that your AI can read, what are you going to teach it? Thanks for tuning in.